Which hot starts are for real? And will Ty Gibbs ever get back on track? How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Should be a fun episode. We'll discuss a few different drivers from Alex Bowman to SVG to Ty Gibbs to many in between. But before we can get to that, we need to thank our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by Peanut Patch Boiled Peanuts. Peanut Patch is available in Walmart and Sam's Clubs nationwide. You can also find them in over 27,000 convenience stores. They're also huge race fans. I know many of y'all have had the chance to meet Brent and Bart at the track recently.
What's going on, race fans? It's Boyle and Bart.
Boyle and Brent.
And we are the Boylan Brothers. Today we are going to give you a 3-step easy tutorial on how to eat a Peanut Patch boiled peanut.
Step 1.
Find the seam.
Step 2.
Find the beans.
And step 3.
Enjoy, baby.
See y'all down the road.
Head to peanutpatchboiledpeanuts.com or click the link down in the description below to learn more. Thank you to Peanut Patch for sponsoring the show. Sorry guys, I don't know if it's the lack of sleep or I need to clean my glasses, but I'm seeing triple. Corey Day, Kyle Larson, and Rajah Caruth will race nearly identical HendrickCars.com trucks this weekend at Homestead Miami Speedway. Good luck to the Spire spotters. Like, they aren't even changing the color of the roof number. They're doing absolutely nothing to help their guys out. A couple of good young drivers in this race, plus Kyle Larson has a real shot to sweep all 3 races this weekend. Rajah Caruth is someone I'm watching closely these next few weeks. It's now been over a year since he won a Craftsman Truck Series race. He's been good, but not great since then. I think there's some pressure on Rajah to take that next step, because if he doesn't, Corey Day, one of those drivers who may be coming. I guess it's not hard to see which drivers Hendrick Motorsports has their eyes on. In other fun paint scheme news, I saw this. The Martinsville hot dog will be on Jeremy Clement's car. The famous Martinsville hot dog stand logo on the hood. Shout out Kevin Whitaker Chevrolet and Jeremy Clements Racing for making this memorable paint scheme happen. I'm not a big hot dog guy. I've had the Martinsville hot dogs and they're good for the price. Not a lot of professional sports venues out there with $2 hot dogs. They are still $2, right? Inflation hasn't gotten to the Martinsville dogs. Not yet. I went to a Texas Rangers game last year and they were promoting like a 3-foot, like a yard of hot dog. That's not for me. I like a Martinsville hot dog. Simple and affordable. Getting to some real news. Today, there is a Goodyear tire test happening at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe, and William Byron are making laps. On the Xfinity side, it's Eric Almirola, Sheldon Creed, and Austin Hill. Each OEM has a representative. I believe there will be some media availability this evening, so if anything interesting comes out, we'll discuss tomorrow. Also, speaking of this evening, Joe Gibbs Racing is expected to announce that Progressive Insurance is Denny Hamlin's new anchor sponsor, if you will. We'll talk about that later this week, but if you're watching the announcement or reading the press release tonight, keep an eye on the terms. If there's no mention of a multi-year deal, either way, it's great for Joe Gibbs Racing and Denny Hamlin to sell out of primary sponsorship for the 2025 season. But when we talk about Denny's next contract, his future, it'll be interesting to know just how much of his destiny is truly within his own control. Anyway, that announcement coming later tonight. I want to have some fun 5 races into the Cup Series season. Josh Berry winning at Las Vegas, Wood Brothers Racing, was surprising, right? Ty Gibbs, JGR, being 34th in points is also surprising. I'm going to talk about several drivers who've had either surprisingly good or surprisingly bad starts to the season, and I'll tell y'all who I'm still riding with versus which bandwagons I'm maybe hopping off. Does that make sense? If not, hopefully it will after these first couple. Also, we'll go in order of least to most surprising. So we'll start with Alex Bowman. I am not surprised at all by his strong start to the season. 4 top 10 finishes, tied for the most in the series, 5th in the regular season points. This is exactly what I predicted over the offseason. Go back to the start of the 2024 playoffs. That's the last 15 races. let's make it 14 races because I'll take out the Charlotte Roval DQ. Over that 14 race span, Alex Bowman has an average finish of 10.6, nearly averaging a top 10 over 14 races. That's pretty impressive. And this isn't the first time Bowman has started the year strong. Remember 2023? Before the back injury, the sprint car crash, he was leading the points 6 weeks into the season. Looked like a legit regular season championship contender. It is full steam ahead for the Alex Bowman hype train. I think he is a legit top 5 regular season threat. The question is his playoff ceiling. He's not leading laps. He doesn't have a top 5 finish yet this year. I feel like the round of 8 is his peak, but I also know better than to doubt a veteran driver in a Hendrick Motorsports car. Hopefully Bowman can find an extra gear late in the year and maybe make a championship 4 run. That would be a huge step. On the flip side, there's Cole Custer, 35th in points for the newly rebranded Haas factory team. Not that there was much of a bandwagon, but I'm off whatever there was. 2 DNFs. You look at the numbers. He qualifies 25th and runs 25th every single week. There's just nothing inspiring about this team right now. I hope they find their footing and improve, but right now, frankly, I forget they're on the racetrack every other week. Rough start to the year for Cole Custer and Haas. Shane Van Gisbergen. His season is off to a rough start as well, 31st in points. Though I'd say the first 5 races have gone almost exactly like I predicted. I said in the preseason that SVG would run 28th on the ovals, but would contend for wins at the road courses. I predicted he would win a road course race to qualify for the playoffs. 5 races in, that's exactly what we've seen. He has an average finish of 30th at the 4 ovals, but at COTA, he ran 6th, led laps. The train is slowing down a bit, but I'm not hopping off the bandwagon whatsoever. We still have Sonoma, Mexico City, Chicago, Watkins Glen, several great opportunities for Shane to get that win. But I must admit, I'm slightly less confident after seeing what happened at COTA. If William Byron or Tyler Reddick or Kyle Larson had led the most laps in that race, I wouldn't have batted an eye. Those are 3 really good drivers, really good cars. They've won a lot of road course races in recent years, but SVG was outrun by Kyle Busch, RCR, most of the day. Kyle Busch led the most laps, and in the final stage, SVG was swarmed on those hectic NASCAR COTA restarts. Despite having some of the freshest tires late, he fell outside the top 10 and could only work his way back up to 6th. Guys like Bell, Elliott had surpassed him even. Kyle Busch is a great driver, and RCR has had road course success in recent years, but that's not who I circled as SVG's biggest competition. I had Byron, Reddick, Larson, Zilich, AJ Allmendinger. He's going to have to contend with those guys at those other road courses, and now he'll also apparently have to contend with Kyle Busch. I still think SVG will win a road course race, but let's just say COTA didn't exactly make me more confident. Let's talk about Austin Cindric. You look at the points, he's 21st. Not great, but the underlying data is impressive. He's led 159 laps, that's second most in the NASCAR Cup Series. He's got a couple of top 10 finishes, including this past weekend at Las Vegas, a traditional 1.5 miles. I was ready to hop off the bandwagon after Circuit of the Americas, but Cindric has bounced back the past couple of weeks. Las Vegas especially, qualified 3rd, went up, took the lead, and won the opening stage, and despite that mid-race setback, had a loose wheel, had to pit twice, lost all his track position, he worked his way up to 6th. A lot of other good cars dealt with similar setbacks. Bell, Larson, Logano, and they didn't get back to 6th. We expect Cindric to look good at Daytona and Atlanta, and sure enough he did, but Las Vegas? That performance tells me that maybe in year 4, Cindric is finally starting to turn the corner. So I'm saying full steam ahead. Maybe Cindric really finds his stride this year. I was hoping Chase Briscoe would start the year strong. He's a solid road course racer. JGR's been good at Phoenix, usually good at Las Vegas, but 5 races into the year, and Briscoe's best performance was at Daytona. They've run into some wacky issues, wreck at Phoenix, they made their own bed with that loose wheel at Vegas. They need to figure out how to qualify. Yes, they won the pole for the Daytona 500 out of nowhere, but since then, their average start is 24th. That's part of why they have 0 stage points so far this year. That's hard to believe. I'm not hopping completely off the bandwagon. Like with SVG, I'll kind of sit on the fence with this one. I buy Joe Gibbs Racing. Christopher Bell has 3 wins this year. I think JGR is a good team, great resources. The results will improve, but I've had my concerns with Briscoe and especially with James Small all along. And I haven't really seen anything good from this team since we left Daytona Beach. That's not exactly true. They did come from 4 laps down at Vegas to finish 17th. That's something. That's some positive momentum. Next up is John Hunter Nemechek. Legacy Motor Club was a punching bag last season. Look at the standings. Nemechek is 15th. That's pretty good. 2 top 10s. They both came at drafting tracks, but still. Again, I can't get on the bandwagon, and there really isn't much of a bandwagon to get on at this point, so this is the last guy I'll kind of sit on the fence for. John Hunter Nemechek has run pretty well. He has 4 top 20s in the first 5 races. That's good. His teammate Eric Jones has qualified really well. Jones has back-to-back top 5 qualifying efforts. If they can somehow take Jones's qualifying and Nemechek's race performance and combine that, Legacy Motor Club could be a formidable team. We've seen some small steps this season early on in the right direction. That's why I'm lukewarm on Nemechek. I don't expect him to make the playoffs. I don't expect him to stay top 15 in points, but we have seen some small gains to start this year. That's something to not celebrate, but that's a positive that they can take away. Let's talk some more about Josh Berry. Wins at Las Vegas. Nobody saw that coming. Wood Brothers locked into the playoffs once again. Already 2 top 5s on the season for Josh Berry. I'm buying this. Full steam ahead. Remember, before Josh Berry, the Wood Brothers were good. With Matt DiBenedetto in 2020, they pointed their way into the playoffs. In 2017, with a young Ryan Blaney, they won and got into the round of 8. I'm not convinced Josh Berry's a round of 8 driver this year, but he's going to make the playoffs. We know that. That first round shakes up pretty well. You got Gateway, which is a shorter flat oval, Bristol, a short track, Darlington, kind of a driver's place. I could absolutely see Berry getting out of the first round, and who knows? You got another flat track in New Hampshire in the second round, a 1.5 miles, kind of like Vegas, Kansas in the second. The Roval will be tough, but who knows? Josh Berry has already exceeded early Wood Brothers expectations. How far can this team go? They have many of the same resources Team Penske has. We know how well Team Penske performs late in the year. I'm absolutely buying this early season Josh Berry surprise, no doubt. Unfortunately, now we have to talk about Brad Keselowski, RFK Racing, 30th in points. I don't love what I've seen from RFK Racing so far this year. Sure, Chris Buescher has 8th to 12th place speed most weeks. Ryan Preece used strategy to get a top 5 at Vegas, but still. But Brad Keselowski, the K of RFK Racing, has not shown us anything 5 weeks into the year. 0 top 10 finishes. 0 laps led for Brad. 0 laps led for Buescher even. And Preece, he led most of his laps at Phoenix thanks to the option tire. That's really all we've seen of RFK Racing up at the front. I left Brad Keselowski off my preseason playoff bracket, and at this point I see no reason to add him back in. I'm off the Brad Keselowski bandwagon for the time being. He did get a win at Darlington last year. That race is coming up in a few weeks. He'll have his chances. He's got numerous second place finishes in the next gen car. I just don't love what I'm seeing from that team the first 5 weeks of the year. Buescher's getting the finishes, but I'm not blown away by any of their speed. I saved the worst for last. Unfortunately, let's finish up with Ty Gibbs. I'll start off by saying a couple of positive things. One, Ty Gibbs at Las Vegas this last weekend qualified for the A-Main in his high-limit sprint car debut. That's hard to do. Now, he ultimately flipped just a few laps into the feature, but still. And though Ty Gibbs isn't doing a whole lot of media these days, considering where he's running, I'll give him credit for not saying or doing anything to make matters worse. For the most part, he seems to be head down, focused on himself and his team, hopefully trying to get better. It's been tough sailing the past few months. Right now, Ty Gibbs is 34th in points, 5 races in. His best finish was a 16th at Daytona. Again, go back to the last 5 races of last season. So his last 10 races, he has an average finish of 30th. in a Joe Gibbs racing car. This is supposed to be the year Ty Gibbs wins a race. That's the expectation when top prospects get behind the wheel of top race cars. Elliott, Larson, Byron. Cindric won his first non-super speedway in year 3. I think Eric Jones, same thing. It's so hard to pinpoint where things have gone wrong for Ty. Like, his rookie year was his rookie year. It was fine, nothing to write home about, but good for a young guy especially. And then his sophomore season was a step forward in many ways. Doubled the top 5s, made the playoffs. But the way last year ended was rough. You could blame, he's got a rookie crew chief this year with Tyler Allen. But again, the end of last season with veteran Chris Gale wasn't good either. What happened? I get that with very few off weeks, with certainly how the qualifying metric works. When you get in a rut, it can be hard to dig yourself out. The points don't reset. It's hard to give your mind time to reset. I get that it's challenging, especially for a young guy who's still new to this grind. But man, it sucks to have so many questions and not a whole lot of answers. I said I wouldn't sit on the fence anymore. I am off the bandwagon for now. I think you have to be. I get that it's a Joe Gibbs racing car. In the right hands, this is a playoff car, maybe a championship contending car. But while I'm off the bandwagon for now, I'm going to hold on to my ticket, okay? I got my hand stamped on the way out so for re-entry, so I can get back on later in time. But for now, I'm off. Right now, my expectations for Ty Gibbs are just get through a race without issue. Can we string together some 15th place runs? Is that too much to ask for? That's where the bar is now. I'm not asking Ty to win in the next 3 weeks. Maybe he does. He could. Again, that's a great car. Right now, though, my more realistic expectations, my goals for Ty are just finish 15th. Get through a race without issues on pit road, without getting caught up in a wreck on a restart, without a part or piece failing. Just have a clean, respectable race. It's been nearly months. I guess Daytona, you finished 16th. I don't remember any big issues there. It's been a long time, though, since Ty Gibbs has strung solid races together. We know he has talent, but we also knew it was going to be a struggle transitioning from Xfinity to Cup. ARCA, Xfinity, he's usually been in the best equipment. You get to Cup, you're not the best anymore, not even close, especially as young and inexperienced as he is and was. That transition was always going to be difficult, not just physically, but mentally more than anything. I hope that somehow, some way, Ty Gibbs can hit that reset button and, like I said, string together respectable races. I'll leave it at that. Fun to chat about a few surprise stories, good and bad, here at the start of 2025. Leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree with my assessment of those various names. That is going to do it for this episode of Out of the Groove. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up button down below if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more. And a huge thank you to my supporters for going above and beyond to support the channel. Really do appreciate y'all. You can expect some fun special guests over the next couple of days. Names I think you will recognize, though some may be new to the channel, I believe. Should be a good time. Can't wait to share. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, folks. I'll talk to you again soon.